All right, the Wednesday evening edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. Hope you've had a good Wednesday. Our weather today was classic midsummer stuff, and the weather going forward is going to be pretty classic midsummer stuff. But we've got a lot to talk about this evening, so let's not waste any time. We did have some renegade stray downpours out there for a time this afternoon. These formed in parts of Geauga and Portage counties and rolled south and east. Brought a couple of tenths to maybe even up to a half an inch of rain in some places. Hubbard was kind of ground zero for the downpours, it seemed like, for a while this afternoon in southeastern Trumbull County, but far eastern Mercer County out towards Sandy Lake, that was another hot zone today for isolated downpours. Most of us missed out on that. At the airport, we registered a trace. Those downpours are pretty close to the airport today. Just a trace at the airport, keeping our monthly total at 8.08, the fourth wettest June on record in Youngstown. Our high today, a toasty 86 degrees, tying for the warmest mark of the month so far. We tied Monday's 86. We are about a half degree warmer than average, and we will no doubt finish warmer than average for the month of June. We've only had one cooler than average month so far in 2019. That was in March. Back in 2018, we had 4 cooler than average months. So over the last, let's see, that would be 18 months, we've had 13 warmer than average months and 5 cooler than average months. So definitely the warmth has outweighed the cool of late. All right, out across the Midwest this evening, a cluster of thunderstorms from Illinois down into Paducah, into Cape Girardeau, heading down into parts of Arkansas as well. This is actually what is kind of left of an MCV. What does that mean? An MCV is a mesoscale convective vortex, basically a swirl, and that swirl is pretty easy to see earlier on today in the satellite picture, moving across Missouri, actually rotating pretty nicely. That's not a tornado or anything, but that is a little kind of compact area of low pressure, and we call these things MCVs, and sometimes they spark up some pretty big thunderstorm complexes. Across the rest of the country today, actually, one of the bigger stories is a rare severe thunderstorm watch in the Pacific Northwest. I think I saw a stat today. It's been over 2 years since they've had a severe thunderstorm watch in this part of Washington and Oregon, extreme western Idaho as well, and actually severe thunderstorm watches extend down the front range of the Rockies this evening. Let's take a quick hop across the pond. This is the big global weather story this week. The heat in Europe. All-time June records being challenged and even broken in parts of France, in parts of Spain, up into parts of Germany as well. Paris and Madrid, just to name a couple of cities that have really been baking. And it's all because of a massive ridge of high pressure right here. That's that circular area right here. Low pressure's over here, high pressure's here. And the jet stream configuration across Europe is very, very blocked up and wavy, kind of looking like this. I'll kind of draw it here, trace my red line. You know, it's a wild looking jet stream, and this is something we're going to be talking about tomorrow evening on our weather special at 7 o'clock on 21 WFMJ, and also streaming on WFMJ.com as well as our apps. We call this special the new norm, ? Because a lot of people are anxious about the weather and worried about the weather and angry about the damage that has been caused by all the stormy weather and rain that we've had lately. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about climate change some, and how we can kind of link climate change to some, maybe not all, but some of our recent weather trends. This is one thing I'm going to be talking about tomorrow evening when I'll be showing this graphic, and kind of relates to what I just showed you over Europe. The Earth's atmosphere and the oceans are warming. That is a fact. That is indisputable. What's also indisputable is the atmosphere over the Arctic is warming at a much faster rate than down here at the mid-latitudes where we are. Well, as a result, there's been a lot of research lately that has shown that because the temperature difference between the Arctic and the mid-latitudes is less than it used to be because the Arctic is warming up, that's doing things to the jet stream. The jet stream kind of feeds off that temperature difference between the Arctic and the mid-latitudes, and a weaker jet stream is a wavier jet stream. Wavier jet stream means weather patterns tend to get kind of blocked up, like we're seeing right now in Europe. And also a fairly stagnant area of high pressure over the northern Atlantic is partly responsible, we think, for the very stormy, unsettled, wet weather we've had in recent weeks and months around here. All right, as we head into the day on Thursday back here at home, I think it's going to play out kind of like today did. with a renegade shower or a thunderstorm here and there in the afternoon. The coverage might be just a little bit higher than we had today, but I still think a lot of us miss out on that. But it's something to watch out for if you have outdoor plans for Thursday afternoon. Similar idea on Friday, maybe a somewhat higher chance of wet weather in more places on Friday, with a little more pronounced area of low pressure or a trough of low pressure moving across the Great Lakes. Now, as we head into the weekend, there's no fronts heading our way really over the weekend. It's a warm, humid air mass and little ripples in the atmosphere, little disturbances can occasionally touch off the spotty shower and thunderstorm activity. You know, it's kind of like we talk about a lot in the middle of summer. We don't often get real strong cold fronts in the middle of summer. Sometimes we just have these air mass thunderstorms that it doesn't take much for them to pop, and it's totally random where they pop up. It can ruin some outdoor plans if it stays over a location for 45 minutes, while other places get lucky and miss out. And we're going to have a weekend like that. The big story is going to be the warmth, the humidity, and you know, you might just have to duck inside a couple of times with spotty thunderstorms. One thing for sure, there's going to be no shortage of warm air as we have the run up to the 4th of July and through the holiday weekend. Next weekend, the 4th is on Thursday, so a lot of people have a 4-day weekend, Thursday through Sunday, and I don't see anything changing temperature-wise with this regime. It's going to be warmer than average, it looks like, for the next several days, taking us through the 4th, so we're going to see a lot of 80s. Now, as I've said many times on this video lately, this is a very warm pattern. It's not necessarily a hot pattern like we had in early July last year. We had a lot of 90s around the 4th of July last year. Probably not as many this year. And I think it'll be a below average summer for 90-degree temperatures. We can partly thank our wet ground for that. And I've explained that a little bit this week on this video. But while we may not see many 90s anytime soon, see a lot of 80s coming our way as we round out June and head into the first week of July. Thanks for watching tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. We'll see you tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock on 21 WFMJ for our weather special. And so Weather Geeks will be on a little bit later than usual on Thursday evening. So if you can, tune in at 7 or stream it online and on our apps as well. Have a great Wednesday night.